Hi everyone, welcome back. So as you can see, we are well into fall here in southern Colorado, and we've had a few consecutive days with freezing temperatures at night. So it is time to go ahead and start winterizing our greenhouse and prepare for our winter garden. So today we're going to be meeting up with Lisa, who is one of our gardeners here at our Growing Spaces facility, and she's going to show us what she's doing to get all these domes ready for the winter season. So first off, we're going to start by talking about pruning back our summer crops so that we can make more room for our winter crops.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa. I'm really excited to show all of you what we're doing in our domes to get ready for winter. So as you can see, we do have some of our winter stuff already started. And right here we have our summer tomatoes. They're finishing, they're still making some fruit. So we want to make the most of these and make a little room for our peas and our spinach down here. And as we're cutting these up, what's going to happen is it will provide shade and space for the peas and spinach.
Removing these lower leaves is going to help create better ventilation for the rest of the tomato plant's life. And it's also going to help the plant focus its energy on the remaining flowers and creating fruit so that we can harvest those last little bit of tomatoes, likely in the beginning of December. Next up, we're going to be talking about transplanting and direct sowing various seeds.
Our growing dome greenhouses require little to no supplemental heat in the winter. So long as you are planting cold hardy crops such as parsnips, carrots, and beets that we have over here. We've positioned them close to our pond to take advantage of the thermal mass. And right here, we're going to start our second succession planting of what we have going on here. So we're going to put in what we put there, and it will be 1 month behind. That way we have multiple crops throughout the season, and we can continually add once these are harvested. We'll put more in. Here we are planting our second succession of beets, and we're not putting them too close, but I will come back later and thin them. Root crops are going to handle direct sow much better than transplant, and I would always recommend doing it that way.
One thing that you can do to help boost germination rates for your direct sowed crops, especially if you're planting them a little bit later in the season for succession planting, is utilizing a cloche, or you can also utilize a greenhouse plastic or an extra piece of polycarbonate, and you'll just place this right over those seeds that you just planted, and it will help to create a warmer environment and jumpstart the germination.
Winter is a great time for leafy greens and herbs. We started these back in September, and they are finally ready to go into our beds. If you get a late start, you can use a seedling heat mat to speed up the process. It's nice to do this gently so you don't disrupt the roots, and I like to squeeze the bottom here and wiggle it gently out. You can see it's nice and healthy. It's not root bound. This is going to be a really good salad. As you can see, I'm giving these plenty of room so they can develop their leaves for our winter salads. The ones behind me are just about ready to harvest, and you see perfectly they have just the right amount of room. When I take these leaves out, the new ones will sprout in. So here I'm planting some perennial sage and thyme. This will provide herbs throughout the season. It is more cold hardy than our basils and other herbs. So it's going here closer to the door, and we should have some nice herbs for our winter cooking. This sage might be big enough for Thanksgiving turkey stuffing, I don't know. And then this little thyme. So this is gonna fill in pretty big. So I'm putting this one back here. One mistake gardeners make, I do it all the time, is bunching everything up. And then you end up throwing it away. We've all done it. It's not very fun. Okay, there you go. Sage and thyme to go with our lettuce.
Our biggest secret for winter success is enriching your soil.
Our soils have been working super hard this summer, providing us with all these awesome tomatoes and peppers. In conjunction with planting our winter crops, we want to give our soils a boost. We're utilizing a worm composting system that provides us with generous amounts of worm tea. We use it in all of our gems. It helps a lot. And I'm going to show you how to harvest that and apply it right now, as well as an alternative we use. If you don't have this system, don't worry. We have fish emulsion that we use regularly and it works just as well. It doesn't smell as good.
Finally, we're going to talk about winterizing the greenhouse so that all of these nice seeds and seedlings that we've planted can thrive throughout the winter months. I know I'm not really ready to talk about it either, but it is time since we've been having consecutive nights of freezing temperatures. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is disengage our vent openers. Now there's two schools of thought when it comes to this process. One is that you just back off the piston as far as possible so that if you do have a really warm sunny day, those vents will open and provide you some ventilation. The other option is to just go ahead and disengage them entirely, and this will make sure that you trap all of that heat during the day so that your greenhouse maintains its temperature overnight. So this here is a univent opener. This is probably the easiest one to disengage. So if you want to just back it off, you'll just simply unscrew the piston. And we do grease these before we send them out to you, so this should be pretty easy. And so I backed it off so that I can't see the threads on the other side of this little nut here. So that way, if it gets really hot, it will open. Now, the other thing that you can do to fully disengage these is just simply go ahead and pinch these two aluminum bars, and that will pop them out of the little sockets. And there we have it, they're disengaged. No matter which vent openers that you have, if you do choose to fully disengage them, you will want to retie your restraining cord as tight as possible to prevent any damage from wind. So these are our bayless openers. This is our 22-foot dome, so these are what the upper vents are using. And these ones are going to require you to either back out or remove this knurled nut or adjuster nut at the end of the bayless. And so I'm going to go ahead and back this out until the threads are even with this little piece of metal in here. And again, this will make sure that if it's a really hot day, these will open up. If you don't want them to open, just go ahead and pull this out all the way. And then you'll want to just make sure that you keep these in a safe spot. So whether that's a drawer in your kitchen or somewhere in your garage, you want to make sure that you don't lose this because the bayless won't work without it. You may want to consider disengaging your upper vents before you plant your winter seedlings because depending on your bed layout, you may end up having to place your ladder inside your raised bed. So the last vent opener that we have is our gigavent opener, and those are always going to be in the upper vents. So these ones are fairly simple to disengage. You'll either, again, back them out, same as you did the univent, until the screw pattern is not visible anymore. Or you could go ahead and remove that piston entirely and bring it inside. As you can see here, we've done both. So we have one that we've left engaged slightly and another that we've disengaged entirely. This is a good option for you if you would like the best of both worlds. If you do fully disengage your vents and happen upon a very warm sunny day during the middle of the winter, you can always just prop your door open for a couple of hours to increase ventilation and help to release some of that hot air. So now we're going to talk about winterizing our fans. This is one of our quiet, cool solar hybrid fans, and we like to go ahead and insulate the fans from the outside to prevent the cold air from even being able to get indoors. You could insulate from the inside as well. That's going to be entirely up to you. What we like to do is use a piece of rigid foam. This is left over from the foam that we use to insulate the foundation wall. And we've just measured the opening of the fan, which is approximately 19 3/4 inches wide and about 15 inches from top to bottom. The top to bottom length doesn't matter as much as it's okay if it hangs out the bottom. You can always trim it up later. We've gone ahead and notched out some corners to account for our 2x2 framing, and we're going to go ahead and just slide this in here. There are multiple ways to go ahead and insulate these fans and seal them off from the cold temperatures. We do have an article with in-depth information linked below. Once you've installed that rigid foam on the outside of the fan, you're going to want to go ahead and turn the thermostat as high as it will go. That way the fan's not going to be kicking on. If you do have an electric fan, you can go ahead and just unplug it. And if you do get a really warm day and you do want those fans to run, you can always adjust your thermostat and remove that piece of foam. The other things that you'll want to do if you have not done so already is go ahead and remove your shade cloth and take that down. That way you're maximizing the sun that gets into your greenhouse. And also along the same lines, make sure that your pond is topped off. Your pond is the main thermal mass within your dome, and making sure that it's full of water is like making sure that the battery is fully charged. We hope that you found some helpful takeaways on how to prepare your greenhouse for winter. These are tips and tricks that work for us, but as you all know, gardening is a constant experiment and it's not one size fits all. So if you have some tips and tricks that have worked for you, please share them with us in the comments down below. You can also follow us on all of our various social media platforms. They will also be linked in the description box. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.